everybody, and welcome to another edition of Saturdays on Lonis Lane. We're so excited you've joined us, and this week we're going to go over what the SEC rankings look like to us. We're going to give you an SEC championship prediction, and we're going to go over the games this weekend. That's right, college football is here, and we are ready to go, and no one is more excited than us three right here. So let's get into it. Before we get started on all of that, there was some news that broke last week that the SEC plans on adding an additional game to every SEC team. So they will play 9 SEC teams throughout the college football. Now, we're going to give a quick just yes or no answer, whether we like it, whether we don't like it, but let's throw out the fact that this looks like a two-headed monster. One, you have the fans who want the competition. They want to see games that mean something. They don't get excited about these just pay-me games that we throw out with UTC or with Kent State or Mercer down in Macon. They want to see these meaningful games. Sometimes we like to take a deep breath and just enjoy the game without having any heart attacks during the game. But for the most part, we want meaningful games. So the fans want that. But the second head to this is you have a SEC already heavy schedule. Does that benefit the SEC? Or does it keep a team out like a South Carolina or an Oklahoma who is meeting at the end of the season, who may be fighting for that chance, and to add another game that could possibly mean another loss for them, does it help or hurt? So I'm looking at this as maybe at the end of the season, does this take away an opportunity from the SEC to add another additional team to the college football playoffs? So real quick, we're just going to go yes or no. You can add maybe a little bit more comment to that. But Tyler, do you think this is a great idea for the SEC, or maybe not?
Not really. Just because, some of those cupcake games, it kind of gives those teams like a break, so we can see younger stars playing, getting reps. So not really. I don't think the SEC needs to go to a 9 conference game.
Cody, what about you?
I love it. I think it's a great idea. If you look back at it, the day before that the SEC announced, the NCAA announced that they're going to look more on the strength of schedule and who you play. So not only did the SEC add a 9th game, but they also added where you have to play one Power 4 conference team as well, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that. I'm almost positive that that's also in that stipulation. So they want you to play a bunch of really tough games. So does it almost add us a 4th SEC team into the playoffs already? Could you get a 4th one now?
Well, looking at a lot of people who are making the predictions for this college football season, the SEC looks to be on very good track to having 4 this year, where we just had 3 last year. So it could possibly. The one thing that I don't like is the fact that they said that they're going to keep 3 games that kind of holds that rivalry. You have Alabama-Auburn, you have Tennessee-Alabama, you have Texas-Oklahoma, Texas A&M. But the one thing that I saw that I pointed out, and I don't know if it's just us living at the Tennessee-Georgia line, but there's no the prediction of it, so this isn't set in stone, but Tennessee-Georgia wasn't on it. So it was not Alabama, it was Georgia and Kentucky instead of Georgia and Tennessee. So I don't know, maybe it's just where we live, but that always seems like a premier rivalry game.
Well, there's 2 things that I know that they're going to look at. They're going to look at location and geographically what makes sense for some of those games. And then they're going to look at rivals. And so, the Georgia one is going to be tough because you've got Georgia-Tennessee, you've got Georgia-South Carolina, you've got, those 2 are big location-wise, Georgia, South Carolina, that's pretty close.
Georgia and Florida.
Georgia, Florida, but
Yeah.
I think that's going to be one of the staples.
Yeah.
And Georgia, Auburn. I do think those are kind of those. But, we'll see. They had the other option of possibly doing pods, but they decided to go with this route with the 3 constants. And I think I like it. We'll see, after next year, obviously, when they go to it. And, it's going to hurt the smaller teams, as in, those UTCs, the money games is what they call them. It's going to hurt those programs because that's where they get $1 million plus. Those guys also get to go play in those big stadiums and get recognized. So that if there's going to be a negative, that's going to be the negative. You don't get as many of those games.
Yeah. So we have a year to talk about this. So there's no reason to dig deep in the muck here. But I wanted to point that out, that is in the works, that a 9-team SEC conference schedule is coming in 2026. But forget about 2026, because 2025 is here. Saturday, we watched an amazing game with Kansas State and Iowa State over in Ireland.
Yep.
Horrible weather conditions, but Iowa State performing an upset, ranked 22 when Kansas State was ranked 17th, and went in there and ran the ball because they couldn't throw the ball. But absolutely, it was a great game to start off college football for 2025, and it just, man, it's got my blood boiling. I'm ready to see some football. But so, Cody, we've got some SEC rankings for this year, what we think. Now, here's the thing, guys. I want you to understand this. We don't agree. We had to fight and play on this, but
best we could do, this is what we got.
But this is what we got. I know we've got a whole season to go, and this isn't what the rankings will look like at the end of the season. We're going to be dealing with injury bugs and things like that that's going to blow this out of the water. There's going to be upsets. Arkansas always beats somebody they shouldn't, and we're going to talk about that and see which team may be that one today. But, Cody, what is the rankings that we have for the SEC?
First, brought to you by Lonus Legacy Cattle, the rankings here. And like I said, we didn't agree, but this is pretty close. We'd love to hear what you think in the comments so we can talk about it again more next week. But here's what we've got. We've got Texas at the top. I think we all kind of agree that Texas going in, they bring back a lot. They've got a star quarterback. I think Texas was probably the easiest choice for us at the top. Then you've got Georgia, who's kind of ran the table in the SEC for the last couple of years, so that was a 2. Then we go Alabama and LSU there at 3-4, and then we've got South Carolina, who we all talked a lot last week that we really like what they've got and possibility as well as Florida, who comes in there next. Then it kind of gets tricky a little bit for us. This is kind of where we kind of had some disagreements. Ole Miss, we all kind of think that Lane Kiffin can coach up just about anybody at the quarterback spot and have an offense rolling at times. And then we've got Texas A&M, who was a quiet team last year, but they're really, really well coached, and we think that they're going to be up there. And probably the biggest surprise, as high as they are, is Oklahoma. They're after Texas A&M. And I think their defense and Brent Venable and their defense is going to be stout. And then Tennessee, Auburn, Missouri, and then we get to those bottom 4. I think Vandy comes in there, and then you've got Arkansas, Kentucky, and Mississippi State. And those bottom 2, there's another one where we could have flipped. Kentucky and Mississippi State.
Nah.
I do think Jeff Levy there at Mississippi State is gonna pick up a win or 2 there in the SEC that may bump them above Kentucky.
Yeah, and one of the things that with starting this podcast, I've been very intrigued on other people's podcasts to find out what they think and how they're feeling. And I've seen a lot of people who think that Kentucky may kind of give up midway through the season, which is really going to give Mississippi State an opportunity to really come in and kind of upset them at that point in time. Mm-hmm. You don't want to see Bob Stoops do bad, but this Kentucky team doesn't doesn't have an easy schedule to say the least, but after last year, how all that happened, and then people worry about the team giving up on what's going on there. So you've got that prediction. Now let's move over real quick to what we think the SEC championship in December. Here we are in late August talking about what's going to happen in December. Good luck with that. But I want your predictions. They want to hear your predictions. So who wants to go first? Just raise your hand.
All right,
Cody, absolutely.
I'll give my predictions, and this is start of the year. Everything goes perfect for all teams accounted for. And the SEC championship game. Now we're just picking who's in the game, right?
Who's in the game? But we do want to know the pick the championship.
Oh, and the winner.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and go. I'm gonna go ahead and leave Georgia or Texas in there, and I think it's gonna be a rematch from last year. If everybody stays healthy for both teams, I think Georgia's got a great defense. They've got some really good running backs. Stay healthy. You know, we talked about that last week with the injury bug to the running back position there. But if everybody stays healthy, I think it's a rematch with last year. And I think it happens again. I think Georgia comes out on top and beats them in the championship game.
From the man himself, Lee Corso. Not so fast. All right. So I think, yes, Texas and Georgia. I think Texas wins it. Their roster is stacked. They rebuilt after last year. I see Archie Manning winning the SEC his first year. Great quarterback. I just think Texas. I give it a close game, but I think Texas pulls it out and they win. They win the SEC their second year in. But I mean Georgia's going to give them a fight, but I really do think Texas is going to win it. So we'll see.
So coming into tonight, I had no clue what either one of y'all had chosen, and it kind of scares me. We're all on the same page here. This is what I was thinking. We had three teams. You had Texas, Georgia, and I want to throw Alabama in there because Alabama is coming in with one of the best offensive line in the country. Top 5 on the defensive side of the ball. They are going to play in the trenches. Mm-hmm. And you've got Ryan Williams, who is coming back, 18 years old this time. You've got Ty Simpson, who should be a pretty good game manager. But here's the thing. Both Texas and Alabama go to Georgia. I think Georgia wins both of those games. I think Georgia wants to get back to Georgia football. They don't want to pass the ball. Even though they've got a quarterback who can distribute the ball okay, they want to get back to the run game. They want to get back to the ground and pound. They want to get back to that wearing the defense out. It's not pretty for us fans. I get it. I understand. We want to see big-time touchdown throws. We want to see explosive plays. I don't see you getting that out of Georgia this year. I see lower-scoring games, but Georgia, I think, may just go undefeated by doing so. I think they beat Texas at home and in Athens. I think they beat Alabama in Athens. But I have Georgia and Texas going to the SEC championship game. The reason I have that is because Alabama has a couple of games on their schedule on the road with Georgia. They've got to go to South Carolina. And I don't even want to talk about what could possibly happen at Jordan-Hare Stadium in November because no one ever knows. Good luck predicting that game. But with those, I'm going with a safe bet. I'm going Georgia, I'm going Texas, and I have the Longhorns winning the SEC championship game.
Yeah, I think we've talked a lot about South Carolina, Florida, and I wanted so bad to pick South Carolina.
Yeah,
I think. That's how high on them I think I am. I am that high on South Carolina. I'm not sure their defense can handle it that far. And if I'm reading correctly, they've lost 3 edge rushers already to injury. 2 I know are out for the year.
And they had their 2 best ones, seniors last year, leave.
Yep.
So you were already replacing studs. And now you've lost a couple of starters who were supposed to replace those guys. Defensively, we're all high on their quarterback Sellers. We think that he can compete and be one of the better quarterbacks in the SEC. One of the few returning quarterbacks from last year. But when you put pressure on him where he has to score, can he handle it? Can he live up to it? And that's going to be the question. That's the question we're just not comfortable saying absolutely to, because I don't think, because of the defense last year, that that's what he has to do. So real quick, if you're watching this and you enjoy what you're seeing, if you have seen last week's episode and enjoying what you're seeing this week, there's a subscribe button just below this video. If it says subscribe, we would love for you to press it. Now, if you've already subscribed, we want to thank you so much for supporting this page. We want to grow this page. We want to make this better visual-wise. We want to do more and better things, and your support and your subscribing is going to help us do that. So continue watching, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. There's a little alert button on there as well that you are able to hit that will alert you every time we post a video. And this football season, we're going to post video after video after video with tailgates, with SEC Saturdays on Lona Slaying episodes. So we're excited. We've got a lot of things coming. So hit that subscribe button, support us. We'd love it, and thank you so much for it. So predictions are over, right? It's time for football. It is time to get down to the nitty-gritty, and this week is a packed full week of games that we need to talk about, as well as what the rest of the season looks like for each of these teams. And starting tomorrow night, we have Missouri playing Central Arkansas. Not a very exciting game, but Missouri is one of those teams that could have a better year than what most of us think, right? Most SEC fans don't look at Missouri as an SEC team. They came in with Texas A&M. They've kind of been very disrespected by the SEC community. And they just play quiet football, right? There's not a lot of talk about them, but they have a pretty decent record every year. But if you look at their schedule, if you look at their homes and aways, they've got Alabama coming to them. So you get that home field advantage. They also have South Carolina that comes to them. They do have to play Auburn on the road. They have to play Oklahoma on the road. And Oklahoma is another one of those SEC contenders, depending on their receivers. They've got a young receiving core over there. So we look at Oklahoma, and of course you play Vandy and Arkansas on the road. I don't see that being too much of a factor. You play Alabama, Texas A&M at home, which should give you a little bit of leverage, but both teams are really, really good. So the next game we have Friday, we have Auburn that goes to Baylor. This is an interesting game. Baylor's picked to win their conference. So, in some of what I've seen, but they are predicted to win their conference out of some predictions. So, Auburn plays Friday at 8 o'clock. They go to Baylor, all the way out to Texas. Cody, Auburn's season could be detrimental to the coaching staff. Right?
Yes.
We have Hugh Freeze, who came in. He got in trouble at Mississippi, Ole Miss. He went to Liberty and coached. The Flames are absolutely amazing. They still are playing great football. And Auburn hires them in thinking that they were going to turn that program around with him. And it just hasn't happened yet. Cody, their schedule, what does it look like?
It's tough right out of the gate. Going to Baylor, I don't know who scheduled that one. Week 1 is tough. You look at the first week matchups in the SEC. There's 8 tough games in the SEC, but you go back to Auburn there and Baylor, and then you're traveling to Oklahoma. You're traveling to A&M. You're going to Arkansas, and you go to Vandy. But then you do have at your place. let's see, you have Georgia, Missouri, and Kentucky, and then Alabama there in November. So their home and aways. They have a bye week October 4th. That's after the A&M game before the Georgia game, and that Georgia game is key for them. I don't know if you get past that. They make weeks 2 and 3. You probably should win those two, but you go into 2 and 3. You could easily go into that bye week 2 and 3 with Auburn, going up against Georgia, who we think's in the SEC championship game. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough, especially week 1. I mean, the Baylor team moves the football. I mean, they're historically known to move football.
Georgia does come to Jordan Hare, just as Alabama does.
Yeah.
So, does that? I mean, that obviously plays a little bit of a role. And guys, we've got a long ways to get to this point. And a lot of things could happen. But I agree. I think Auburn's got a long road to hoe just because the lack of production under Hugh Freeze. Now, here he comes into this year. He's established. There's no excuses. You can't say, well, I don't have my players.
Yeah, you can't.
So, I don't see the year being any better than it has been. And because of the lack of production, is this kind of like a Kentucky team that kind of quits at the end of the year, except for Alabama? Auburn has been known to go 0-11 and get to Alabama and beat Alabama. So, I don't care what they've done. When they get to Alabama, it's a different ball game. So, Tyler, let's move over. We're going to go to Tennessee because Tennessee this week plays at Syracuse. Now, I understand that you're thinking, well, we want to know what the talk is about this week's game. We're going to get to it. We're going to give you our predictions, but we're going to give you a recap, or not a recap, but a prediction or what we think is going to happen through the regular season. We'll get to our predictions, what's going to happen this week. So stay tuned for all of that. But we are going to break down a little bit of what the SEC season looks like for each of these teams. Tennessee goes to Syracuse. Well, no, they play in Atlanta. They play in Atlanta. Kickoff is an early kickoff. It's 12 o'clock kickoff.
Yeah.
And so most of y'all will be watching this game because it's an earlier game.
It's an early game on Saturday. Going into Atlanta with Tennessee and Syracuse, I predict Tennessee to stomp Syracuse. They got some talent, behind the ball. I can't really say much about Syracuse. But I think Tennessee goes in there and it's going to be a 20-plus point game against Syracuse with who they have on the weapons they have. I believe Tennessee did finally announce their quarterback after our last week's podcast, and Joey Aguilar. So I mean their defensive side of the ball is still pretty stout there. But the running backs, I mean, from what I see, they still have some very heavy running backs that could potentially pound the ball down the field, and some receivers, some shorter receivers that you see in the SEC, 6'1", 6'2", when you have some teams that have 6'4", 6'5" receivers. But I just don't see Syracuse stopping Tennessee this week.
So looking at the SEC schedule going forward, though, you have Arkansas at home, Georgia at home, Oklahoma at home, Vanderbilt at home, which is a pretty big rivalry game. Vandy's quarterback has been talking a lot of smack about, this team. We're the team of Tennessee, and he has circled this game. And then they have to go to Florida, and they go to Mississippi State. So we talked about last week Nico leaving. We have this new quarterback who transferred over from UCLA.
Yep.
He had 14 turnovers. He averages just over 1 a game. Very friendly with the football to the other team.
Yeah.
Do we see this as being a concern going through this schedule? And is there a game on there that you see that could trip them up that maybe that they should win?
Probably Arkansas.
Arkansas.
I'm predicting Arkansas to beat Tennessee. Like we said earlier,
What week is that?
that is going to be the October 10th game.
Okay.
It'll be the 6th week of the season.
So that's who you think Arkansas is going to beat who they shouldn't beat?
Yes,
Tennessee.
I do think so. I think Arkansas will end up beating Tennessee.
Again, 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
So I'm going to throw one out even a little more crazy on that, just because I want to jump in on this. Because I was looking at the schedule, because the team we're going to talk about next, I believe. I think Mississippi State. I think the Cowbells at Mississippi State could give that team some trouble. I mean, call me crazy. I don't know. For some reason, I have no information on Mississippi State at all. But I do believe that Jeff Levy there at Mississippi State has a great offensive mind. I think he could do something. I mean, like I said, had a bunch of freshmen last year. I think he could do something. And so that's week 4. That's week 5, actually, for Tennessee. That's their 5th game. And then Mississippi State, they're both kind of a cupcake game the week before. Tennessee's probably looking ahead. They got a bye week the next week. And probably thinking, oh, we got 2 weeks. We're good.
So, well, let me ask you this. We are going to talk about Mississippi State next. They do play Southern Miss on Saturday. Who do they have leading up to Tennessee?
Who does Mississippi State have?
Mississippi State.
Northern Illinois.
And Tennessee before Mississippi State?
UAB. And
UAB. And then Mississippi State bye week.
Yeah. So the bye week for Tennessee is after the Mississippi State game. They might be looking ahead. Hey, we get a long break. We get a long break there, and then we're going to revenge that loss from last year.
Okay. Throwing out some crazy predictions. Hey, you heard it here first. On Saturdays on Lonas Lane, Arkansas could beat Tennessee, but so could Mississippi State. Stay tuned, because we're going to find out here in about 5 weeks. So, but yeah, Mississippi State, if we look at Mississippi State, so we have them at, they go to Arkansas, they go to Florida, they go to Missouri, and they go to Texas A&M.
Mm-hmm. Most of those are late in the season.
Yeah.
Their first 5 games are at home.
Which is their home schedule doesn't get much easier. It's Georgia, Ole Miss, Tennessee, and Texas. I don't think it would be crazy. And if I'm a betting man and I just want to take the almost definite, I would have to say that Mississippi State may not win a game this year in the SEC. It may be a repeat of what happened last year, and it may not be pretty. Now, what we learned last week was they didn't get blown out last year. They kept it very close.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But they go away to some of their weaker opponents. They play the tougher opponents at home. It just isn't. It doesn't look pretty. I hope they do. I hope the cowbells ring and they go crazy and they're able to do some things.
I made a mistake there. I just assumed that Southern Miss was going to Mississippi State. Mississippi State's traveling to Southern Miss.
Yes.
So week 1, I made that mistake. Let me correct that while we're here. Mississippi State is going to Southern Miss week 1. But then they do play 4 in a row at home. So that is a mistake there. A lot of those money games, you play them all at home, so I don't know if that's necessarily a money game for them. But
No, I don't think it is.
So let's keep rolling, right? We've got Kentucky versus Toledo. Mm-hmm. Now, Kentucky, there's a lot of noise going around. They may very well be like Mississippi State. They may not win a game in conference this year. Cody, do you think that that's a possibility? And if not, where do you find the wins? Because you have they play home with Florida. Ole Miss comes to town. Tennessee comes to town. Texas comes to town. It's kind of like an Ole Miss. You've got some of your weaker schedules. You have to go. You have to kind of go to, but you still have Auburn at Auburn. You've got Georgia at Georgia between the hedges. You've got to go to South Carolina, and you've got to go to Vandy.
Uh-huh.
Can you find a win there?
I mean, the only win that I think Kentucky could pull out could possibly be a Vandy at Vandy. I mean, that's towards the end of the year. You know, it's one of those last games of the year for them. If there's one there for them to have in the conference, that might be the only one that I think is possible. I don't know a whole lot about Kentucky. I've not heard a whole lot about Kentucky. I've done some research on them.
Been very quiet off
It
season.
has been very quiet. I'm excited to see them, obviously, Saturday against the Toledo bunch that, you know, could possibly give them a run for their money.
The Georgia transfer, last year, tough guy, loves to run the ball, but just wasn't very good last year. And then you have you have brand new quarterback there. I believe on the defensive side of the ball, they're still pretty young. So there's a lot of question marks around this Bob Stoops team, and I don't think I would be comfortable to say that if there's a win here, it's got to be an upset.
Yeah,
Right?
definitely.
So now we're going to get to what we all felt like is an SEC championship game contender and will be in the SEC championship game, and that is Georgia. Now, Georgia's first week is versus Marshall, right? I believe Marshall coach left. Is that correct?
Yes, he has moved on.
He has moved on as well as a lot of the players.
I want to pretty much all the team. If you remember correctly, they made it to a bowl game, and they did not renew the contract for the coach. And I think they ended up having to forfeit the bowl game because over half their team had decided to leave with him. And I can't remember where he ended up off the top of my head right now, but yeah, he's gone. He's got another job somewhere.
So Georgia has a very favorable home schedule, right? Alabama, which we've talked about. Texas comes to them. Kentucky, which is apparently a bigger rivalry game than Georgia-Tennessee. Who knew? Ole Miss comes between the hedges. But on the road, their toughest game on the road, I think, is going to be Auburn at Auburn. Now, I know they play Tennessee at Tennessee. They also play Mississippi State, and they play Florida at that neutral site every year. Biggest cocktail party.
Yep.
I think Georgia can run the table here. Tyler, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you're going in to Tennessee 2-0. You're going to beat Tennessee. It will be close against Alabama. Kentucky, blowout. Auburn, I mean, that's always a tough game for Georgia, too.
It is a tough game, and that's a game that I would circle as being the one that they could possibly lose that would give them that one loss in the SEC.
Then you got Ole Miss, and that's at home. You got Florida, like Taylor said. Cocktail party, you got Mississippi State, and that's a win. And then November 15th, you have Texas.
At home.
At home.
And Georgia has been the monster underneath the bed of Texas.
Yes.
Do they finally look underneath the bed and find out that it's just their stuffed animal, or are they still afraid to look? Because they got them twice last year, both in the regular season where they went to Texas. They went to Austin last year, beat them in Austin, and then beat them in a very close game in overtime at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So I think there's a good possibility that they run the table.
I mean, I know we're talking conference play, but we didn't get to that last game of the year for them.
Tech.
Georgia Tech.
Brent Key is building something there at Georgia Tech, and he's doing a good job. I mean, he's got good recruits. He's got a pretty good quarterback. If he stays healthy, could be another one. I mean, I know it's not a conference game, but still another game that they've got to play.
And where is that at?
It's at Tech.
Yeah.
So
It's in Atlanta.
it's you never know with that game. Some of those rival games there at the end of the year that
Yeah.
you always kind of circle.
You
I'm
may-
not saying
you
it's
may
going
say
to happen, but you never know. It's a fun game to watch.
Oh, yeah.
Good old fashioned hate.
It is, and I don't think that rivalry gets talked about enough.
Well,
But
it's because Georgia just beats them so bad every year normally, but I think it's getting closer and closer.
but it's an in-state rivalry game, and,
Yeah.
and those are always dangerous. Just like Alabama, Auburn, Tennessee, Vanderbilt, Texas A&M,
Mississippi State, Ole Miss,
Mississippi State, Ole Miss.
Egg
That's
Bowl,
right.
Egg Bowl
The Egg Bowl.
fights every year.
So let's get to Alabama. Now, Alabama, I think you circle Georgia. I think that's the game that they lose. If there's a game they're going to lose, that's going to be it. Like I said, they go to Athens. They have to face them. It's probably going to be a late game. In the lights,
Oh, it's
Crowd.
a 7:30 game.
crowd is going to be pumping. I just don't know. And I know, like I said, they want to run the football this year. They want to slow things down. They want to keep their defense off the field more than they did last year. But remember, Alabama's front on both sides of the ball is one of the best in the country. They have return starters. They were bringing back more production from last year than any football team in the SEC. So there's experience on both sides of the ball. And I said I'm going to predict that Georgia beats Alabama in Athens because it's a safer bet than Alabama going in to Athens. But we remember 2000, when was the blackout? Was it 2008?
8, if I'm not mistaken.
2008, Georgia was picked to win. It was in Athens. They came out with their black jerseys on, and Alabama sent them to a funeral.
Yep.
So that's a rivalry game that is from way back that kind of lost a little bit of juice, but it's kind of coming back because you see these teams in championships. So circle that game. It's probably going to be one of the top 5 most watched games this year. But outside of that, you have LSU at home, which we're going to talk about LSU, but I have a lot of questions about their receiving core. So, you look at that quarterback and he's coming back and so much production, but they've got some meshing that's got to go on. And we'll see about that this weekend because they've got a tough matchup. We've got Oklahoma at home. Oklahoma beat Alabama last year.
Yeah.
You have Tennessee at home. Tennessee beat Alabama last year. And Vandy, who beat Alabama last year, is at home. All of these revenge games are at home. But you do go to Auburn. You go to Missouri. And let's not forget about South Carolina.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a walk in the park past Georgia.
Nope.
But the matchups on some of these games, I feel like Alabama loses one conference game.
Yeah.
And that's to Georgia. But I see them running the rest of the table. Tennessee, I love you guys, but I just don't see them being the same team this year.
They're bringing back offensively. They've only got about 39% of their offensive production from last year, while 63% of theirs defense is coming back. And so, yeah, I mean, offensively they're going to have to find somebody quick.
So, I think Alabama is set for a good year. I had them going to the college football playoffs. I have Texas. I have Georgia going to the college football playoffs. I think we have a good argument for Oklahoma to make it. I think we have a good argument for South Carolina. Now, both of them will not make it. I do not see us getting 5 teams in. But those are the 2 teams. One of those 2 teams, I think, is going to squeeze in. And out of the 100 predictions I've heard, it's about 50-50. So there are a lot of people who think that the SEC is going to get 4 teams in just because of the strength of schedule, and that being 3 losses. And I believe there was one who even said there would be a 4-loss SEC team that gets in. I don't see it.
No, I don't either.
I'm just sharing the news. I don't see it, but I do see there's a huge opportunity for 4 SEC teams to get in. So let's move on to Arkansas. Now, we talked about Arkansas. They play Alabama A&M. The worst part about week 1 is the fact that there are so many of these games that are just warm-up games for the season. Now, I know Cody said it's about half and half.
Yeah,
so 7. Just warm-up games.
Well, I put the Mississippi State Southern Miss as a good game because I think could be a good game there in Hattiesburg.
Yes, yes. But Arkansas at A&M, I see Arkansas kind of carrying this away. But Tyler, if we look at Arkansas's season, Auburn comes to them, Mississippi State comes to them, Missouri comes to them, Texas A&M comes to them. But listen to this: at LSU, at Ole Miss, at Tennessee, at Texas. What do you see Arkansas's chances are? Do you see their coach being on the hot seat? Do you see that 6-6? And I do want to make a correction from last week. You cannot go 8-8 and just make it to one bowl game and make an 8-8 season. So it's 6-6 because you only played 12 games. But do you see them making that 6-6 to have him keep his job and the Arkansas faithful be happy, or is this another one of those teams that could not win a game all season in the SEC play?
Well, I mean, let's see. What team did I say Arkansas was going to beat again?
Tennessee.
I still stand by it. Arkansas will beat Tennessee. It'll be a close matchup against A&M. Auburn, I'm not saying Arkansas is going to blow the water out of any SEC team they play. They're going to play good ball, both sides. I just think that, they'll have probably three wins in Tennessee. You'll beat Mississippi State, and you beat Mizzou. I mean, but you're going to get beat by Texas, LSU, and potentially A&M. I mean, like I said, they're not going to blow any team out of the water out of those. They're going to keep it close. I mean, it's going to be a 3 to 7 point game about all season against the SEC teams because that's just how they are. But like I said, I think they win 3.
Win 3 in the SEC?
Win 3 in the SEC.
That will get them to 6-6.
Yeah.
All right. Cody, we have next on here is Oklahoma. Now, we talked about how one of the probably the hottest seat in the SEC could be on Brett Villanova, who, if you remember, was an amazing defensive coordinator at Clemson. Yeah. Correct? Mm-hmm. So, you've got to think that he has the ability to play what we call SEC defense and perform. But looking at their schedule, what do you think? Do you think that he is able to turn this program around from what we saw last year, or is he going to finish the season on the hot seat or possibly unemployed?
They're bringing back 77% of their offense of production last year. Now, they are bringing in a new quarterback, John Mater from Washington State, who can absolutely sling the rock all over the field. Now, obviously, if he stays out of trouble with everything that has come out a little bit with him betting, and at least that's what was showing, there for a week that was talked about. But, around 77% of their offensive production is returning. When we talk about their defense, they're bringing around 60%, maybe a little bit more than 60% of their defense back as well. So they've got some experience with this coaching staff that could handle the SEC, and I'm not going to say handle it, but could make it through the SEC play a lot better than they did last year. They do have a little stretch there. You're at home against you're away. Let's go. You got Texas at home, then you go to South Carolina, then you're home at Ole Miss, then you go to Tennessee, then you got to bye, then you got Alabama at Alabama.
In Tuscaloosa.
So you've got a little bit of a stretch there where it's pretty tough. I mean, Texas, obviously, we were high on Texas. We're high on South Carolina. Ole Miss, I think, is obviously in a kind of a rebuilding year, but like we said, we think Lane Kiffin can work an offense. So I think that would be a good matchup. Then there's Tennessee, who is not going to be a cupcake to anybody. I don't think they're going to be as strong, but I think they're still going to be good. And then you've got Alabama. So that stretch right there is not going to be easy. But earlier in the year, they've got Michigan at Michigan.
Yeah.
You got Bryce Underwood, that multi-million-dollar quarterback that they brought in, who can throw it and run it with the best of any of the quarterbacks. That's going to be a tough schedule for them. I mean, they've got some easier games there as well. They're playing Kent State. They're playing Temple. They open up with Illinois State.
Yep.
And they finished the year with Missouri and LSU, which I don't think we talk enough about LSU.
We're going to get to LSU. But before we get to them, we got to talk about Florida. Now, we talked a lot last week about how Florida has the toughest schedule in the SEC. In college football, listen to this. Listen to their just SEC. Georgia, they play on a neutral site. They have Mississippi State that comes to them, Tennessee that comes to them, and Texas that comes to them. They play at Kentucky, at LSU, at Ole Miss, and at Texas A&M. But some of their non-conference games look pretty tough too.
Yeah, I mean you have Miami at Miami.
You play Florida State.
You play Florida State, which is an in-state rivalry. And you play USF. So the first 2 weeks, I think Florida, pretty easy games. And like you said, you got LSU, your first conference game.
And that might be a night game in Death Valley. Especially if Florida handles business the first 2 weeks. If that game's not already a night game, it may be flexed to a night game.
So, then you got Texas. You play Texas at home. So, you got 1, 2. Then you got an easy game in Mississippi State. You got Georgia. Then you got Kentucky and Ole Miss, Tennessee. I think they beat Tennessee. They beat Ole Miss. Tough with Georgia. You beat Mississippi State. A&M's going to be a good game, and Texas is going to be a good game. So I think they go over 500 ball in the SEC.
A winning record in the SEC.
Yep.
With that schedule, and Cody, you mentioned in the beginning that they were going to put an emphasis on strength of schedule this year. Mm-hmm. Could Florida also be one of those teams who are sitting at the end of the season saying, look what we have done. We may be a 3 or 4 loss team.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they have a pretty good excuse to say we deserve to be in.
Yeah. Miami, with Carson Beck going there.
Which I had a conversation with a Miami fan. You're not getting the same quarterback out of Carson Beck as you did as Cam Ward.
No.
So don't expect the same result. I'm sorry, he is not a $4.2 million quarterback.
No.
But he's a better quarterback than what we saw last year. And that has to do with a lot of offensive line problems, the lack of a running game, drop passes. So he is a good quarterback. And it is a rivalry game. It's an in-state game, and I think it's going to be tough either way. But
And you go to the other one, Florida State, who I think is going to have a rebound year. They're going to be better than they were last year. How much better, I don't know, but they will be better. I don't think there's any question about that. I don't think Florida State has the same year they did last year. So if they get to that last game and they're playing like they can. That could be a good game. I mean, it should be.
So then that gets us into Texas A&M. Texas A&M plays UTSA, the Roadrunners. UTSA, but in the SEC, Tyler, they have at home Auburn, Florida, Mississippi State, South Carolina. They go to Arkansas, LSU, Missouri, and Texas. So you have LSU and Texas on the road. So a pretty favorable home schedule.
Yep.
With Auburn coming, South Carolina coming to you, but Texas A&M has been a hit or miss on their games the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And that's the struggle I have with Texas A&M.
I mean, it's tough to say with A&M. Like you said, it's a hit or miss. I mean, you have out of conference. You have to play Notre Dame at Notre Dame.
You know that'll be a noon kickoff.
No, it's a 7:30 game. Wow. It's already announced. It's a 7:30 game.
Get corrected.
So it's. I mean, your only other non-conference game. No, you don't have another non-conference game that's that tough. But you go in and you play Auburn right after you play Notre Dame. And then you got somewhat of a cupcake game against Mississippi State. And then you got to go play Florida, who's, like we said, is going to be pretty tough. Arkansas, I mean, we'll see how they are. LSU is pretty tough. Missouri, not enough talk about them. Then you got the South Carolina game, which is going to be tough. And you got Texas. I just don't.
Now,
I don't see. I see them at 5 or one game below 500.
They played Texas very well last year. They did. Now, Texas A&M was a big no on Texas coming to the SEC. They did not want to reunite that rivalry with them.
Yeah.
So there's some boiling blood there. So it's going to be fun to watch. I'm so glad it's back because it used to be just one of the best in college football. So let's go to Vanderbilt. Now, I am not a big component on smack talking. I don't like it. I know you beat Alabama last year. You're still middle of the road team. You've got to prove that you're a contender. I don't think you have.
Clark Lee and that Vandy team, they're bringing back over 75% on both offense and defense. I'm telling you, that third year, with that coaching staff, with that group gelling and meshing, guys, like, I know we've got Vandy way down on our power rankings there, but could they be the real deal? I mean, they could be. When you have those guys come back, they could be better than what we're giving them credit for.
You go to Bama, to South Carolina, to Tennessee, and to Texas.
Well, their schedule doesn't help them.
Yeah.
Their road games are tough.
Dial it back there, kid. That's all I've got to say.
Hey,
Dial it back there, kid.
They're going to give teams fits.
Maybe.
Because Pavla or whatever, however you say his name, I try not to remember it, but he can make plays happen.
He's a very Johnny Manziel like.
That's
creature.
a good comparison.
Yes.
Yeah. And another year in that system, another year with the guys. Could it happen?
No, absolutely not.
Let's get to a marquee game. LSU. LSU has to play Clemson at Clemson.
Preseason number 4?
Clemson?
Clemson's
Yes.
number 4. Notre
Yes.
Dame's number 2. And then you got Texas at 1, Georgia at 3.
No,
Who
Notre
had
Dame's at
Clemson?
6.
Who would have had Clemson?
No, I'm sorry. It's not Notre Dame. It is Penn State at number 2.
Who would have had Clemson in the top 5? I mean, you're thinking back last year. Who would have had Clemson in the top 5? I know they're out of SEC here, but
There were questions that they probably shouldn't even have been in the 12-team playoff, and they go in there and they get smacked in the mouth. But they got some dogs on that defensive front, and that's what we keep hearing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, dogs on the front of an ACC schedule versus dogs on the front of an SEC schedule are two different type of dogs.
Yeah.
So they may look very good in the ACC, but here is a team in LSU that has some talent if these young receivers come up. But here's where they are going to have to look at. They go to Alabama, to Ole Miss, to Oklahoma, and to Vandy. They play Arkansas, Florida, South Carolina, and Texas A&M at home. They've got a tough schedule on both sides of that. And I know we keep saying they've got a tough schedule. They got a tough schedule. We're an SEC podcast. We have high expectations for these teams. Excuse me. And when you look at these schedules, they do look tough. I mean, these teams are kind of getting closer and closer together to where, sorry, SMU coach, it's not just top heavy. There is good teams from top to bottom. And if you don't believe me, here's a ticket to the SEC. Come on.
Yeah.
But LSU starts off at Clemson. Now, we're not making any predictions right now, here in just a second. But their coach at LSU has not won a season opener.
I don't think he's won a big game.
Brian Kelly has not won a season opener at LSU. Just something to keep in mind before we pick our teams. But Ole Miss, we've talked about Ole Miss being young. Jackson Dart is gone. He's playing in the National Football League. But they still have Lane Kiffin as their head football coach. And he has been known to bring up great quarterback talent. Now, Cody, we look at Arkansas, Florida, LSU, South Carolina, all coming to Ole Miss, to the Grove. But they go to Georgia, to Kentucky, to Mississippi State, to Oklahoma. All these young guys prepared for that schedule. Or is Ole Miss going to be a subpar SEC team this year?
I think they're right there in the middle of the pack. I really do. I mean, they're bringing back under 50% of production on both offense and defense side of the ball, both sides. They lost a lot of guys on both sides. Under 50%, I think it's right at 50%, just under 50% for the defense, and it's like 42% around there for the offense side of the ball. They are bringing in a tight end, a transfer there that should help him a little bit, and we'll see if he's ready to play there. But I think they're kind of in the middle of the road. But like we said, it just depends on really the quarterback play, because if he's Coach Giffin's going to have him in the right spot, can he limit mistakes early as a young quarterback?
That's a tough question, right?
Mm-hmm.
A young quarterback in the SEC, has been a toss-up, right? I mean, not all of them are sellers. Not all of them is going to be what we think Arch Manning is going to be.
Austin Simmons is going to be the quarterback. I had to look it up real quick just because I forgot his name. But, I don't know if you remember when Jackson Dart would go down last year, he did have some play last year. They've got Caleb Cunningham, who's a big-time recruit. He was a 5-star guy, 4 or 5-star guy, depending on what site you're looking at. Big receiver, 6'2". They've actually moved Caleb Odom, the transfer from Alabama. He was a receiver last year. They moved him to tight end. So now they've got a weapon there. So we'll see. I mean, I think Austin Simmons, a big guy, he's going to be a sophomore, so second year in the program. I think he could take that leap in production and kind of take over. So that's why they have the best shot of staying in the middle of the pack and not falling as far back as I think some think they will.
So we have Ole Miss going middle of the road. Here's one that I think we all have talked a lot about. We're giving these people a lot of credit with a huge question mark on defense, but that's South Carolina. They're playing Sunday in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
They play Virginia Tech. Beamer Ball versus old Beamer Ball, which is no longer Beamer Ball, but this is him going and playing his dad's old team.
Yeah.
I love it. It's week 1, and we've got a matchup like this. And I've heard one person talk about LSU making the playoffs and playing Notre Dame. Brian Kelly going back to playing Notre Dame in the 12-team playoff. I'm up for that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see it happening, but I'm up for it. But we have this in week 1. I love it. It is the Sunday game. South Carolina, Virginia Tech. Now, we've talked about South Carolina, and I think we've kind of beat this horse to death. But just a recap of what they're going to do on their schedule in the SEC. Alabama comes to them, which I said we need to circle.
Mm-hmm.
Kentucky, who I said could possibly not win a game all season. Oklahoma, who is looks like a pretty decent team and is definitely going to have a better season than last year. The question is, how much better? Vanderbilt, who is going to talk trash. All of them come to South Carolina, but they go to LSU, to Ole Miss, to Missouri, and to Texas A&M. Defensively, we don't know.
49% coming back. You don't know.
But that's on the backside of the defense. That's outside. That's safeties. You're losing 4 of the 7 interior defense with injuries already.
If all reports are correct, and I believe from what I'm seeing, 1's out for sure. I think for the year. The other 2 they believe are majority of the year.
There was one injury that we didn't talk about. There was one injury. Alabama has an injury to their running back, star running back. There was a lot of hype around this guy. He's expected to come back for
The Georgia game.
Georgia.
Projected.
I'm excited. I've saved this one for last because this is the game of the week. It is a rematch of a semifinal from last year. This is Texas and Ohio State.
What's their rankings?
1 and 3.
We get a 1-3 matchup week 1.
Week 1.
We get 2 top 10 matchups in week 1.
Yeah.
Well, you've also got to remember Miami and Notre Dame play. It's football season, baby.
This is
I love it.
This is one of the better week 1s we've had in a long time.
Absolutely. So you have Texas and Ohio State. What we're gonna do is we're gonna skip this. We're gonna go back through and we're gonna give our predictions. We're gonna hammer in Texas. Everybody, if you haven't been following it, that's on you. But we've told you where Texas is going because we went through the entire SEC. But we're going to give our predictions, and we're going to talk about Ohio State and Texas because this is premier football. This is what you want to see week in and week out. So let's do it real quick. Missouri, Central Arkansas. I don't think there's going to be any surprises here, but what do you guys got?
Missouri.
I'm just going to go ahead and throw out my entire projection for the
Nope, just one. Let's go
Just
one at a
one?
time. Just one at a time.
W.
Yep, Missouri.
Missouri.
Auburn, Baylor at Baylor.
Baylor. It's tough to open up on the road week 1 and go play an opponent like that. We talked about it early. I'm not sure. I'm honestly not sure if Hugh Freeze makes it through the year. He may not make it at the Georgia game.
Sorry, sticking with the SEC.
So Auburn.
Auburn.
I'm going to go with Auburn too. I think it's going to be a close game. I think that I think Baylor is going to give Auburn all they want. But I think Auburn's able to pull it out. I think there's some magic left in that Hugh Freeze bag that he's going to have to pull out to win this game that he probably doesn't want to show this early in the season. But he's going to have to.
Uh-huh.
So then we go to Tennessee versus Syracuse. This is in Atlanta. Who you got?
Tennessee with a win.
Tennessee?
Fran Brown is an incredible coach at Syracuse. I know we're an SEC podcast. I'm pulling for SEC, but if I'm giving my prediction, I'm going Syracuse. They're a great football team. They can run the ball real well. They've got a few transfers. They got that. They got a receiver transfer from Texas that went to Washington, then transferred to Syracuse if he's eligible, which I'm not 100% sure if he is, but he is there at Syracuse. It's going to be hard. You got a new offensive, you've got a new quarterback, you've got a lot of production that you're having to replace on offense. That's a tough game week 1, and I would not want that game week 1.
I'm afraid Tyler Rose is going to pull his music for my podcast. He is a huge Tennessee fan. You've got some Tennessee fans. When they see this, we might want to put you on witness protection.
Yeah.
It's not easy picking against any of these teams, I promise. But Fran Brown there, he's a former Georgia coach. He's doing an incredible job there at Syracuse. If you remember a couple years ago, probably some people didn't even realize Syracuse had a football team. And he's changed that. He really has. And so
They won a couple of games last year they shouldn't have.
I think it's close. I think it's an extremely close game. And I could be wrong, and I hope I am. But I think we're going to go to Syracuse there.
I think with the site being in Atlanta, I think you're going to have a heavy Tennessee fan base who is hungry. Now, listen, I haven't heard Tennessee fans say this is our year. That scares me because every year, this is our year. What if it's the year they don't say it? That's their year. Now, I'm not making that prediction. I don't believe it. But it could happen. I'm going to take Tennessee over Syracuse, though, because it is in Atlanta with a heavy Tennessee fan base. I just can't pull away from that almost home game. Then we go to Mississippi State versus Southern Miss. Cody, you did say that this is maybe a pretty good matchup.
I mean, going to Hattiesburg, you don't normally get that a lot. You're going to go play in a smaller stadium a little bit. It could be an interesting game. I'm actually going to pull and believe that Mississippi State's going to win that one. I don't know why, but I'm kind of pulling for Mississippi State right now. I feel like they might be a little underdog that could pull 3 or 4 out somehow. I don't know where, but I think Mississippi State. I don't know why I like them, but I do. I'm a big fan of Jeff Levy.
Tyler?
State wins it.
Yeah, I'm all for Mississippi State. I think Southern Miss, good team. I think they're going to be very high in their conference. But I think Mississippi State, this is a game that Mississippi State, I really think, has to win. And I hate to be week one, has to win. But we're kind of like that with Auburn right now, right?
Yep.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, the Marshall coach, it just hit me. I think he ended up at Southern Miss.
What's the spread on this game?
I have no idea.
You don't have to ask me that.
As of right now, as we sit, the spread on this game is...
It don't say on here.
Doesn't say, doesn't give it to us?
Doesn't give it
That's
to me.
okay. We're going to keep going. Kentucky versus Toledo.
Kentucky versus Toledo.
I'm going Kentucky.
Yep, going Kentucky. You got to.
That might be one of their two, maybe two of their wins this year. It's at home, so it helps.
Go Wildcats, right?
Yep.
So Kentucky, all three of us. Georgia versus Marshall. I hate to even pick this game, but I think we're all going to be in agreement. I say the Bulldogs are going to win this one.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of barking.
Yeah, the only fan base that'll bark at you like a grown man.
Have you seen Mississippi State?
Yeah, that's true too.
They like to pee in the end zone during the Egg Bowl. Don't forget
Yes.
about that.
Yeah, well.
Alabama at Florida State. Florida State renovated this year. Is the playing surface up to par?
Just put it down this week.
Could that be a hindrance? Is there potential of a injury? Florida State's quarterback said, and I quote, "No one can stop me. No one can stop me." He also said that the best defense that he'll face all year long is his own defense. Cody, who you got in this game?
At Florida State, playing surface is going to be tough. Like I said, they just put it down this week. And if all accounts that I've seen, could be a rain game, could be a wet one.
It's always raining in Florida. Just wait 10 minutes.
You're right. But, I don't know if you remember last time we played in Florida. I think we were at South Florida.
South Florida.
And it rained the entire game. It was the ugliest game.
At that game, what had to happen was the camera crew could not be up at their stands, so they backed it out, and depending on where they were at the field was the camera, and you had a very wide view.
I remember
of
that
the
now
field.
that you said that. Yeah. I'm going Alabama. I just think they might be a little too strong for Florida State. I think it's going to be a great game. I think Florida State's going to be, like I said, a lot better than they were last year. They've got to if Coach wants to keep his job.
Tyler?
It's got to be Alabama for me. They're, like Cody said, I think Alabama SEC football is too strong for Florida State. And you remember what happened last time, the past couple of times? Teams talk smack
About Alabama.
about Alabama.
Before the opening game.
They get destroyed.
I remember USC
Yep.
was that way. There's one thing we haven't talked about. DeBoer has his offensive coordinator.
Yes.
I know that we said that they've got an injury at running back, but DeBoer has his offensive coordinator. I think that may be a huge game changer. This game may be close for the first half, but I do see Alabama kind of running away with this, and that's no disrespect to my Florida State fans. J.C. Groves, I love you, man, and I know that was pass interference in the end zone. You ain't got to put it up on Facebook anymore. But I believe that Alabama will win this game, and I think we cover the spread, which I believe is 13.5.
Yep. And you go to the spread against Mississippi State and Southern Miss is 12.
12
It's 12. For State.
for State.
Yeah.
Arkansas versus Alabama A&M. I would go with Arkansas pretty heavily
Yeah,
on this.
you can't go against Arkansas on that one.
Oklahoma versus Illinois State.
The spread's 35.5. You got to go with Oklahoma.
Oklahoma.
Yeah.
I don't know if they cover the spread, but I
I mean-
Oklahoma.
Boomer Sooner.
Yeah.
Boomer Sooner. We've got Florida at Long Island University. Gator Chomp there.
Yeah.
All right.
Unfortunately.
Texas A&M versus the Roadrunners.
A&M.
A&M?
Yeah,
A&M,
22 and a half
absolutely.
point.
Yeah, they may cover that one.
Vanderbilt versus Charleston Southern.
I think that's a victory. That's
For the Commodores?
For the Commodores there.
Yeah, I don't think they cover the spread at 36, but Vanderbilt's got the win, though.
May I remind you guys, Vanderbilt lost to Georgia Southern last year.
Yeah.
I'm still taking Vandy. But Vandy lost to Georgia Southern last year. LSU at Clemson. This is big. LSU is number 9, sitting right behind Alabama at 8. Clemson is number 4. They go to Clemson. They both claim to be Death Valley.
There's the real Death Valley. Man, I don't know if there's a cooler interest. There might be one cooler interest in college football.
Virginia Tech.
Virginia
Absolutely.
Tech may have the coolest.
Yes.
But Clemson's a close second with a touching the rock coming down the hill.
Yeah.
That might be one of the coolest, especially at night.
Yeah.
That might be one of the coolest things. I've not ever had the experience of being able to go and watch that game. One day, I promise I will make my trip to Clemson to watch a night game there. I think it's really neat to watch the players. I always kind of hope that somebody trips and falls and they roll down.
Yeah, I was about to say.
I keep waiting
I don't
for
know
that.
if anybody ever has,
Oh, I'm sure somebody has,
but
I've never
I
seen.
mean, they haven't had it on video.
But I'm going to go ahead and make my pick here. I think that's too tough of a game for Brian Kelly. I know they've got a great offense, and like I said earlier, he struggled to win a big game. And
You struggle to win the big game until you do.
until you do, and he hasn't. So
That's right.
I'm going Clemson.
Clemson's at 4.
Yeah, they are favored, yes.
They are favored, but I think LSU goes up by 3 and wins it. I think Brian Kelly, this is the hump he needed, because I just don't foresee. Sorry, if we have any Clemson fans out there, I just don't see Clemson doing anything.
So, this is a tough one. This is one that, man, I want to pull for LSU so bad because I am an SEC homer, which is why we talk SEC football here. But you've got LSU facing one of the tougher defenses in the country, reportedly. You've got an LSU team with a great quarterback with new receivers. How much trust does he have in those receivers to get the ball out on time with a rush that he will be dealing with? Now, I think they're pretty strong at the offensive front, but this defense, they're coming.
Mm-hmm.
I have to take Clemson here at home.
Yeah.
If this was in LSU, if this was in Baton Rouge, 90,000 plus Raging Cajuns, I couldn't pick against LSU, but it's not.
It's tough.
And I believe that the battle of the real Death Valley is going to go to Clemson this year. And I hate to say it because I think Clemson is overrated.
Yeah.
But this matchup favors them.
Uh-huh.
Ole Miss versus Georgia State.
This is going to be it's going to be more of a challenge than probably most think. I mean, you're truly breaking in a new quarterback. Coming out of the gate, he's your starter. And so all pressure's on him, not just come in and fill in a spot or two, or a play or two if Dart comes out. But he's the guy. Georgia State's had that history of kind of upsetting some teams too that they're not supposed to beat. So this could be one of those games, but I think Ole Miss is still too strong, and will be fine and beat Georgia State.
Ole Miss, I mean, yeah, they're just. I think the quarterback this will be his stepping stone to play all 4 quarters, every down on offense. I think this is his game. So I don't think they beat the spread at 38, but I think Ole Miss pulls away with it pretty good.
Yeah, I would have to go with Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss is going to be okay. I know there's a lot of question marks. They're young. They've got a new quarterback. This isn't going to be the same Ole Miss we're used to seeing. I'm going to call hogwash on this. And I know we're not talking about Arkansas, but I think Ole Miss is going to be okay. I'm going to pick Ole Miss to beat Georgia State, and that's how much confidence I have in Lane Kiffin. And I know Lane Kiffin doesn't have a good rep in these parts of the world right here in Chattanooga, Tennessee, but I think he's a great football coach, and I think he handles business here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to that Sunday game. South Carolina, Virginia Tech, in Atlanta, Chick-fil-A kickoff.
Aflac kickoff.
Is it the Aflac kickoff?
It's the Aflac kickoff.
Chick-fil-A would be the Tennessee-Syracuse game then?
No, it's both the Aflac kickoff. In Atlanta this year. It's not the Chick-fil-A kickoff this year.
Interesting.
That is interesting.
I'm going to go ahead and, I feel like we beat a dead horse there with South Carolina. I think I'm just going to go ahead and pick them. There's not much more talking about than we can do.
Yeah.
Gamecocks, yeah.
Gamecocks.
Yeah. It would be hard for us.
Right?
It would be hard for us to sit here and brag on a team and then pick against them. It'd be bad.
Yeah.
It would be really bad.
Let's get to the game we're wanting to talk about.
Here is the game. It is Arch Manning. This is a Manning, the grandson of Archie Manning. This is the nephew of Peyton and Eli Manning. Why not? Why wouldn't he be great? Why would he not follow in all these footsteps? But then again, he's unproven. He's going to the shoe.
Yep.
He is going to be facing one of the loudest crowds he has ever faced.
Yep.
On the road in his first game. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know of a tougher way to start your quarterback career than this right here.
But look on the other side too.
Oh, I understand. They've got a new starting quarterback as well.
And he's a freshman. He's a redshirt freshman.
And they just announced him.
Yeah, he just got announced. And it was a close battle there from everything that I've read on that side too. So you've got two new starting quarterbacks that you're trying to break in an extremely tough game to start the year. But who wouldn't want that matchup?
But one is at home.
Yeah. Yes.
With the fan base behind them. One is away. And I don't know if we can get a map and figure out how far Austin, Texas is from Columbus, Ohio. But that is a far travel. Now, I know there's Texas fans all over the country. And I know that they'll be well represented in Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
But this is going to be a loud and rowdy crowd, and Texas has to face what I'm going to say is one of their toughest tests, week one.
Yep.
I think Ohio State's defense is going to be great. Caleb Downs, probably one of the top defensive players in the country.
Questionable, probably the best player in all of college football.
Well, I agree. He is definitely one of the best defensively, especially in the back end too. And then you flip it to the other side, and you've got that receiver, man, special. You've got two of the top players in the country, one on each side of the ball, that you're gonna have to play against. I know. And we believe in Texas and what they're doing. I do think it's going to be a tough one. It might be one of those overtime games. It may be who has the ball last kind of games. But I think in the end, I think Texas has got enough to pull it out in the end. I'm going to go Texas.
I'm going to go Texas. I'm going 100% SEC win first week. I think Texas can do it. I think they can pull against Ohio State. But, it's going to be who makes the most mistakes on offense. good defensive side of the ball, both teams. I think which quarterback makes the most mistakes. But I think Texas pulls it out.
In honor of Lee Corso, Coach Corso's final picks, not so fast. You're talking about Ohio State, national champions.
Gonna have a hangover, guys.
Yeah, you're going to have that national championship.
In the shoe with two of college's best players. Ohio State, I think, wins this. I don't think it's a blowout. I think it's going to be a great game. This may be the most watched game all season long.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Ohio State wins this game. I think Texas goes to the SEC championship game with 2 losses on their record. One being out of conference, one being in conference, winning the SEC, going to the college football playoffs, being in the top 4. You lose early to Ohio State in the shoe. You lose in the middle of the season to Georgia in Athens. You win the SEC championship game. I think you've got a great season, but I don't see it starting off well for you. This is a safe pick for me.
You gotta think back. Steve Sarkisian, just like Lane Kiffin, is one of the best offensive mind coaches in the game, and all of the game.
Yep.
At any level.
And we've seen him throughout the SEC and do it. So,
and he's had all off season to watch plenty of film on Ohio State. Now, granted, I'm sure it's not the only one he's been watching, but it's the first one, and the next game is the one that always matters. And so I guarantee you, he's got every trick in the book that he needs to do.
Pull it out.
It's just a tough environment to go into for a brand new quarterback. I don't see Texas coming over the win. I've got high hopes for you, Arch, but I don't see this one being where you make your staple. And I still don't think that this will take you out of the Heisman running, because the sky's the limit for you, kid. But this game in Ohio, now I think Ohio has a hangover after this game, but they've circled this game. There is no surprises, and they will be ready. I just think there's so much power on the Ohio State side, and that kills me to say. Kills me. Because if there's a team out there I want to vote against that I'm pulling against the most, it's the Ohio State Buckeyes. If there's a fan base out there that's more annoying than Alabama fans, it's Ohio State.
Yep.
But I have to pick Ohio State. Guys, that's all the time that we have. We are excited. Tomorrow night starts kickoff. Missouri kicks us off for the SEC. We just watched a perfect game to open us up all the way over in Ireland with Kansas State, Illinois State. This is going to be an exciting year, and I hope you stick around and continue watching. Remember, if you like what you see, you may not like what you hear, and we all may be proven wrong. We're going to keep a tally of these games and how they go, and we're going to see who's winning at the end of the year. And I'm hoping we become better pickers throughout the year, because there are going to be some weeks we're going to look downright ugly. I understand that. But hit that subscribe button. That's going to help us out. It's going to bring better content to you guys that you want to see, because I promise this horrible lighting, this okay camera view, this one shot for an hour and a half isn't the best, and I get it. And we appreciate the comments we've already gotten and some feedback. So if you've done that, thank you. But what we would love to see is those subscribe numbers continue to climb and people watching, because that is what we're here to do. We want to share with you our thoughts, and we want you to share with us on Facebook and on X. We hope you have a great weekend of college football. We will see you next week on Wednesday to review all of this and to review week 2. Thank you so much. And remember, every day is Saturday on Lotus Lane. Thank you.